Hi, I'm Mel, and this is my whole attempt at that whole social media online content creator thing. I thought I'd give it a try. Everyone else seems to be doing so I thought, why not me? I do think that for the moment, I'm just gonna stick with talking about books that I've read because I already do that anyway, just not on the internet. And by doing this now on the internet, at least I saved my sister from being the only person that is subjected to my commentary. So yeah, big, huge disclaimer. Just please bear with me as I figure this whole thing out. I'll admit this is way out of my comfort zone, but I wanted to give it an honest, good try. So yeah, thank you for that. For my first video, I'm going to be doing a book review. The books I'm going to be talking about are as follows: The Last First Time by Andrea Bramhall, Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. I most likely mispronounced his last name and I apologize for that. Moving on. Also, before we get into anything, all these books that I'm going to be talking about are books that I checked out from my local library. I will most likely be only talking about the books that I've checked out from the library. 100% plugging in. If you have the opportunity to, if you can, please go get your library card. Support your local libraries. They are such a good resource. Just, yeah. Go do that. Moving on. No. The first book I'm going to be talking about is The Last First Time by Andrea Bramhall. This is a mystery book. It is the last book of a series. And I do want to mention, when I checked this book out myself, I did not know it was the last book of a series. So I have not read the two books before this one. But that being said, this did read relatively well as a standalone. So I'll give it points for that. This is definitely meant for adults. I do feel like it handles or tackles more adult themes. The synopsis of the book is as follows. When Gina Temple decides to go Christmas shopping for her girlfriend, Detective Sergeant Kate Brannon, in the Norfolk town of Kings Leon, it seems like an easy enough task. If only life were that simple. A split-second event, months in the planning, tips their safe world upside down. In this twisting lesbian thriller, Kate's subsequent investigation leads her down the rabbit hole where innocent people are targets and has repercussions that will reverberate for a long time. Meanwhile, as the two women grow closer, things will get even more complicated. Life seems more determined to throw obstacles in their path. Will things ever feel normal again? So just a quick little fun story now that what the book's about is known. My decision to check this book out was simply and only because when I read the synopsis myself, I saw the line that it said a lesbian thriller, and after I read that line, I was sold. I after that, I didn't really care for anything further. I saw that, thought that was just a cool selling point, so I was sold. Moving on to the actual review of the book. So my overall rating of the book is 3 out of 5. I do feel it was a pretty good, decent read. It wasn't the most amazing thing that I read. It wasn't bad. I do feel like it was quite middle ground. It was enjoyable. I could easily get through it. I do feel like the level in which it's written, it's an easy read. It's nice. So yeah, I feel like 3 is a really good rating for it. One thing I would like to point out in regards to the book, I do feel like it had a slight delicate balance between the book being about the actual investigation on the big event that occurs in the story and being about the two main characters' romantic relationship. So that was nice to see. Personally, I do appreciate that the heavy focus was on the investigation because that is the pivotal thing of the story, but it also did have good pocket moments highlighting their romantic relationship. So I do feel like they were mixed well. Now, in regards to concerns or critiques on the book, I do feel like a weak point of the book is the fact that it does rely on kind of like the American stereotype that most terrorist acts are done by people that practice the Islamic faith. I do feel that that is a disservice, or just a kind of a I feel like it kind of highlights just a poor writing decision on the author. I don't think it's meant in such a way of malice, but I do feel like it's like you could have tried something different, or tried not relying on the stereotype. Some talking points that I do feel like the book highlights or could be made in regards to the story is extremism, and just how believing something that intensely can honestly just lead to danger. And in my opinion, just the conversation that having personal beliefs and believing strongly in something is important, it is a good thing, but you walk a very, very fine line between it becoming just overwhelming and honestly hurtful. So I do feel like it highlights that conversation a little bit, or well enough. Another one that I feel like that it highlights is just the fact that some people feel kind of entitled to judge others simply and utterly because they exist in the world or go about their lives in a different fashion from oneself, and thinking simply because they live differently, exist differently, believe different things, they deserve to be judged as if they are just crude, or just not even just existing wrong, but like judged as almost like criminally, and like they deserve to be punished for their way of existence and stuff like that. I do feel like it highlights that well, in the sense of like it is a delicate conversation, and I do feel like it falters at some point, but I do feel like it brings it up enough, and being like, just because you believe something does not give you the right to then go try to implement that thought or that belief onto somebody else. And just to end it off, in regards to recommending this book, I would, like I said in the beginning, it reads well. It's a decent read. It's not the best thing I've read. It's not the worst thing I've read. I feel like it is a very just good, pleasant, easy to get through book. The next book I'm going to be talking about is Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. I'm almost certain I'm mispronouncing the author's last name, and I do apologize about that. So, yeah. This is a thriller, mystery, possible maybe horror book, if you want to argue that. From my knowledge, it is a standalone. I would definitely say that the target audience for this book is adults. It handles some pretty, for the lack of a better word, controversial topics. So I definitely do say it would definitely be better off for an adult crowd. Yeah, so the synopsis of this book is as follows. Fresh out of rehab, Marley Quinn takes a job as a babysitter for Ted and Caroline Maxwell. She is to look after their 5-year-old son, Teddy. Marley immediately loves it. She has her own living space, gets out for nightly runs, and has the stability she craves. As she sincerely bonds with Teddy, a sweet, shy boy who is never without his sketchbook and pencil. His drawings are the usual fare, trees, rabbits, balloons, but one day he draws something different. A man in a forest dragging a woman's lifeless body. Then Teddy's artwork becomes increasingly sinister, and his stick figures quickly evolve to lifelike sketches well beyond the ability of any 5-year-old. Merrily begins to wonder if these are glimpses of a long unsolved murder, perhaps relayed by a supernatural force. Knowing just how crazy it sounds, she nevertheless sets out to decipher the images and save Teddy before it's too late. Now that is said, I guess. Moving on to my actual review of the book. Overall, I feel like the book is a 3 out of 5. Again, not the best thing I've read, not the worst thing I've read. I do feel like it's quite middle ground. It was easy to get through. It was pleasant to read. I had little moments, if I remember correctly, where like, I wouldn't say I struggled to get through, but like it wasn't a book that I could sit there and I was like, oh my god, I wanted to consume the book. the whole time. So, but it kept me entertained well. One thing I will say I do like about the book, and I feel like it executed very well, it was the push and pull within the book of it kind of at first only presenting as, oh, this is possibly just a paranormal issue that's occurring with the child, to like, oh no, this may be just a human issue that's occurring with the child, to back and forth between deciding whether it was simply a paranormal issue that was occurring or it was like an actual like live human thing issue that was, so a mixture of like, oh, it was both, and it kind of being like teetering on what needed to be done, because which thing do you tackle first? Do you tackle the paranormal aspect of the situation that is occurring? Do you tackle the human aspect of the situation that is occurring? Or is there even a way to try to tackle both at the same time? So I do feel like that was good. I do feel like it was executed quite well. I wouldn't say like it kept you guessing, but it kept you wanting to read further to figure it out, for sure. One thing, I guess, critique or just a concern or something that I do feel like I would do feel the need to say, I'm like, if someone is not comfortable with a child being the victim of things, then I would say this is not the book for you. The victim of the traumatic event is a child, so I do feel like that is something that some people may not be comfortable reading, so very much keep that in mind. Another thing that I definitely feel I would want to highlight in this regard, there is mention of forced masking of gender on the child. So that is also something that I feel like if it is a sensitive topic for the reader, that this is not the story for them. One talking point that I feel like the book did bring up, or at the very least make me think of, is parenthood. Like, does everyone really deserve the right to be a parent? And I honestly feel like this book is a good example to prove my thought that no, not everyone deserves the right to be a parent. Being a parent just means and requires so much out of a person that, yeah, not everybody is capable of those things, and not everyone should have the privilege to be one. Yeah. Another talking point that it made me think of is in regards to trauma. I'm like, at what point are someone's actions a reaction to the trauma that they lived through or experienced, or are they just someone's bad decisions? I understand that experiencing things in your childhood or at any point in your past, not just your childhood, do shape you as a person and do cause certain reactions and like processes. But at what point are we just not allowing bad decisions to occur in the name of quote unquote traumatic responses? At what point is it just accountability and responsibility for the action? And to end it off, would I recommend this book? Yes, I would. I feel like it was a good, entertaining read overall. I would say before someone picks it up, I understand it is a little controversial in regards that the child is the main victim of everything. So I do understand that it is quite difficult for someone to read. And like I said, the child is forced to exist as the opposite gender that they are. So I do feel like that is also a sensitive subject for some people. So I would say before someone decides to read the book, kind of check in with themselves if they're okay with reading something like that. And if they are, I do feel like it is still a pretty decent read. It reads fine. The pacing is good. But yeah, overall, I would recommend the book. I will be very honest in regards to an outro. I have absolutely no idea what to say. But one thing I do want to say, if you have watched this video in its entirety thus far, making it this far, I want to thank you so much. Oh my God, thank you for sitting through this. I know it probably isn't the best, but I'm gonna give this an actual good shot. And hopefully you enjoyed it and are willing to come back. Gonna try to have some type of frequency with my uploading, but I can honestly say I make no promises, but I will try my best. Other than that, again, I just want to say thank you so much for watching and making it this far. If you enjoyed it, I would very much appreciate a like, maybe even for you to subscribe if you want. Also, just support your local libraries. You will not regret it. They are such a good resource. I feel like that's all I can think of saying. So thank you so much and take care.